What if I told you that YouTube changed my life with only 500 subscribers, even as a 20-something-year-old introvert nobody? People say this all the time, that your 20s are supposed to be the most fun and exciting years of your life. But as someone who has spent the majority of their time being cooped up in a room, never socializing and hiding behind their books, I could never see that happening. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Janvi. Hi, hello, welcome. In today's video, I want to share a little bit about my YouTube journey so far with you guys. So I'm going to break this down into 3 sections. The first is going to be about the why behind me starting this channel. The second is going to be about the benefits, or like how it's actually changed my life for real. And the third part is going to be about some of the challenges that I'm currently facing as a small creator. Something that you might face as well if you're planning to start your own channel. And I also talk about how I'm planning on overcoming those challenges, so keep watching. But before we get into the creating part, let's talk about my journey as a consumer first. I used to use YouTube as a tool to learn something new, whether it was learning a new skill or just gaining a different perspective from a creator that I've most looked up to. Like, there was a phase where I was heavily into sports nutrition and weightlifting, so I'd follow all of these fitness YouTubers to learn more about their subject of expertise. And then I started binge watching a lot of travel content on YouTube, which gave me a different perspective to look at life and the way the people experience the world. And I remember being in so much awe, and I was just very fascinated with that. I truly believe that you become what you consume, and I'm so glad that I've spent the prime years of my youth consuming long form content on YouTube, educating myself from people all around the world, and I think that inadvertently helped me shape into the person that I am today. When it comes to my creating journey though, I vividly remember having this conversation with some of my friends during our junior college years while we were discussing about our career paths and what we wanted to do with life, and I just casually mentioned that at some point I'd like to start a YouTube channel because I didn't have the courage to do it back then, nor did I have the skills for it. And cut to today, where I've not only have held that dream within me all along, but to think that I'm actually creating content for real now. I also think that I'm perceiving things a lot more differently now. Like, there's a brain switch that happens when I'm consuming content, and I'm instantly thinking of ways in which I can recreate that content or share it in a different light. Creating content on YouTube is a whole different ball game, and it's bringing out the creative side in me and challenging me in ways I never thought possible, which I'm actually really enjoying. Speaking of which, one of the reasons why I started this channel is because it's bringing out the storyteller in me. I think I'll always identify myself as a writer and a storyteller first, no matter what medium that I choose to express myself in. We're all inspired by some pop culture icon growing up, right? And I was massively inspired by Carrie Bradshaw's character from Sex and the City. If you're a 90s kid, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Also, if you haven't watched it yet, what are you doing? It's the most iconic series / movies of all time. But basically in this series, Carrie Bradshaw is a newspaper columnist who writes for New York Times and the Vogue magazine, and she talks about her oh so glamorous life and all the love encounters that she has with men in New York City, and the audience loved her for it, myself included. Nothing to do with me really, but I just love the appeal of being a writer. But the closest thing that I do remember of like why I wanted to be a writer is when I was a kid. I used to look forward to reading Mumbai Mirror. It's a newspaper that came to my house every Sunday, and there was a tiny column on the back page called the Speaking Tree. It had little nuggets of wisdom from different sources like Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata and the like, and I used to run to the living room to read the newspaper first because it was so fascinating to me. I don't know if any of you guys have read that as well, but I knew at that moment that I wanted to be a writer and have someone get this excited to read my work just like I did every Sunday. I wanted to make a positive impact in someone's life through my words, so I started sharing my journal entries on a blog, and a bunch of people that I knew started reading it and told me that they found it to be very motivating, and that fueled my passion even further, so I decided to pursue it as a career. I majored in English literature, in turn had an ad agency and worked as a copywriter, worked full-time as a social media script writer, did a bit of freelancing in between, and now I found YouTube. But I think one common thread throughout has been my passion to write and share stories, which has brought me here. And it has only grown in leaps and bounds ever since I started my YouTube channel. So I just had this realization that even though the mediums might change over time, I'll always be and would want to identify myself as a writer first. If anything, YouTube has only made me a better storyteller, and I really don't mind that I have to switch to a video format to reach a wider audience. It's making me want to get out of my comfort zone, and I really like that. Another reason is creating long form content versus short form. Honestly, I'm kind of biased towards long form content at the moment, I'm not gonna lie, and I have some solid reasons why. But first, first, let's define what short form and long form content even mean. So your short form videos is essentially little bite-sized pieces of information in the form of YouTube shorts or Instagram reels or even TikTok if you're staying abroad. It's the short and sweet content anywhere between 8 seconds to 1 minute. Now comes the long form content, which is your podcasts, YouTube videos, movies, books, series, essays, and so on. Call me old-fashioned, but I genuinely think that there's always going to be a viewership for long-form content because that's where people find the most meaning and connection. And that's what I value the most. Like, tell me if you remember one reel that you watched throughout the day. You won't be able to. But you'll definitely remember the message and the mannerisms that you learned through a YouTube video or like a movie that you watched more than a week ago. For me specifically, short form content might pique my curiosity on a particular subject, and then I'll learn more about it through a long form piece of content like a podcast. A while ago, I heard someone describe this analogy and really stuck with me. They said that think of short form content as like an appetizer or bag of chips. You open it, you binge on it, but you don't really feel satisfied after having it. It's like a yummy little snack that whets your appetite but doesn't really curb it. You're kind of hungry for more and it's only good enough to keep you intrigued for a short time. But then your long form videos are like a full-blown main course Rajdhani type meal. You're indulging in every single flavor, every single bite of the food, and by the end of it you leave feeling super satisfied and super full. That's how you relate that with long form content because you get to indulge, you get to immerse yourself into the topic. And I also think that ideas and information transfer way more clearly through long form. Another reason why I prefer long form over short form is because it allows me to express my innermost thoughts without any limitation. I don't have to think about shortening the duration of the video for it to perform well and to edit it further to appeal to my audience. That's something I realized working full-time as a social media script writer, that it's literally one of the hardest jobs because you're essentially reducing your 101 thoughts to just one thought while you deliver value-packed information, while you retain people's attention at the same time and pack it all in just under 1 minute. And even that is a lot now. Even an 8-second video doesn't cut it anymore. I really wonder where we're headed at as human beings with tiny attention spans, but that's a topic for another day. But the point is, that's not the case with long form videos because you can stretch your thoughts as much as you like and people will love you for it. People want to know what your thoughts and feelings are, and that's how they get to know you as a person. Like, even if you don't know that person, it kind of feels like you're virtually hanging out, you know? Besides, you can get really creative while expressing yourself through this medium. This might sound silly, but the third and the most important reason behind me starting this channel is that I'm treating YouTube as sort of like a visual diary that I can show to my kids and my grandkids someday so they can learn something from the mistakes I've made and the lessons I've learned. YouTube can truly be a way to educate someone if you use it in the right ways, and I can only hope that by documenting these experiences, I get to inspire my kids and grandkids one day. Like, imagine you're 75 years old and you're watching your videos with your kids and your grandkids in your living room. It's like reading out your journal to someone. It's making me want to introspect, be more present with the people around me, document every single experiences I'm having, and take the good out of every situation and look at things as an optimist. Something I've always been ever since I started journaling as a teenager, but here I have a visual backing. Like, I have visual memories to attach them with, and that makes it even more special and memorable. So that was all about the why behind me starting this channel. Now let's talk about how it's impacted my life for real now. Sitting alone in your tiny room and speaking in front of a camera can be pretty intimidating. 500 people watching my video. Like, imagine being surrounded by that many people in one room. That is just wild, especially for an introvert like me. Sharing your most private and vulnerable thoughts on a platform to a bunch of strangers can be a pretty intimidating experience. There were times when I actually questioned whether or not I should share some of my private thoughts on here, and when I would sit down to write them, it brought some pretty uncomfortable feelings for me. But what I've realized is that if you can sit through that discomfort and push through that fear regardless, you'll also get rewarded for it immensely. For instance, I posted a video a while ago when I was in Shimla on how I was struggling to call myself a YouTuber because I wasn't making any money off of it yet, and that video was picked up by the algorithm and it was so loved by you guys. I cannot express how grateful I felt reading all of those comments and you guys supporting me when I least expected that to happen. What I learned through that is the only way to grow courage and confidence in your craft is through action, and all it really takes is hitting that record button. It's honestly not the numbers game for me. I don't care how many subscribers I have or how many views I get. But what I do care about is if I made someone smile, and if I'm consistently making an impact in someone's life through my words. I know it probably sounds too altruistic, but it's true. It's what drives me. Another way YouTube has impacted my life is that I started saying yes more often. It's making me want to be on the driver's seat and make plans instead of sitting back and being a passenger princess. What I mean by that is that I'm consciously making plans to hunt for stories so that I can deliver valuable content on here instead of just going with the flow and capturing videos whenever I feel like it. I'm actively putting myself in situations I would have never thought of while I'm creating travel content. It's taken me a while to do this and I'm not there entirely yet, but I'm definitely not as scared to just swing my phone and vlog in public anymore. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's true. If you would have told me about this a couple of years ago, I would have laughed at you. I would have not believed you. I'd have thought of it as my worst nightmare. However, things have changed now. I'm still trying to get the hang of it, but I'm not as scared anymore of being cringy or uncool. Being an introvert most of my life, I was also very shy and awkward to even start a conversation with a stranger. But all of that fear has sort of dissipated ever since I started solo traveling and vlogging on YouTube. I've begun to talk to more strangers and form meaningful connections, something I would not have considered had it not been for documenting my stories. There's something so empowering about hitting that record button and knowing that people are watching you. Strangers are watching you, and they may or may not like you. They may or may not critique you. They may or may not care at all. But it's nice and empowering to know that you're the main character of your own story and you get to craft it in whichever way you want. So here I am, putting myself out there in ways I never thought possible, and this newfound confidence has helped me to do things on my own and just enjoy my company. I take myself out on dates. I put myself out there without any fear. At least I try to. I say yes more often, and I just generally want to continue to be a better version of myself. That was all about the benefits. Now comes the challenges, something that you might be facing as well if you're a small creator. Somebody said that if you're serious about your growth on YouTube, then you need to treat it as your full-time job. And there are two ways in which I'm struggling with that statement, which I think might be relatable. Number one is consistency. I think as a small creator, all of us struggle with consistency at the beginning. And here's where the problem comes. Unlike a full-time job, you're answerable to nobody. So there is no sense of urgency to do the kind of work that you're doing. And this applies to every creative or self-employed person out there. But what I think really helps here is setting a deadline for yourself, because it's not like you have a boss to report to, right? You are essentially your own boss and you need to keep yourself accountable. To be very honest, it sounds very appealing, but it's very hard to do unless you have some major responsibilities on you. So what I've realized is consistency comes with time management. And time management comes with setting boundaries and strictly saying no to things that don't deserve your attention. This is very important because as human beings, we have thousands of thoughts running in our heads and think that we'd rather be doing something else or be somewhere else. The only hardest part though is carving out the time and sitting down to create every single day. The second challenge is that as human beings, we're all bound by outcomes. We need to know if we're getting the appraisal or the promotion for all the work that we did. But here, there's no such thing. Only working hard and having faith in the process can help you. So something that I'm working on is having a strong enough purpose and going back to my why. Reminding yourself why it is that you started this in the first place. Like for me, it is to be a better storyteller, to have a visual diary, and possibly even use this as a source of emotional education for my kids and grandkids one day. And lastly, to just learn and grow as a human being and inspire someone by sharing my lessons in the minutest ways. It could be something entirely different for you, but the point is to have faith and treat it like an actual business or a startup where you might not see the return right away, but the more you invest your time and energy into it, along with a lot of faith, you'll eventually get there if you firmly believe that this is for you. The third and the biggest challenge for me is space. Living in a joint family is no joke, you guys. It's nice and all, but if you're a creative person or if your work involves some kind of creative work like thinking or writing, then you know just how much impact your environment can make, both on your energy levels and your work. But it's just something I have to figure out and work around for now. In saying that, I'm acutely aware of how some people have it way worse than me, and I'm not trying to complain, but I do wish for things to be different and have better control of what and how I spend my time and energy on. But the only thing that I can control is working according to my energy levels and with the tools that I have. I don't have a professional camera, I don't have a wireless mic. I do wish to buy a wireless mic for when I'm traveling. I literally film and edit on the go on my phone. I'm constantly running out of storage space. I don't have an aesthetic background. I'm literally sitting on the floor trying to film this. I often have to adjust my routine according to hear that? The noise. But you know what? That's okay. Not everything is going to be perfect, and you don't have to wait for things to be perfect to start. I've realized that starting something is better than regretting you'd have done something sooner when you had the chance. Alright, so that's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out with me. The only tip I'll leave you guys with if you're planning to start your own channel is focus on your own story and share everything that comes with who you are. Be true to yourself, be authentic. Everything else will just fall into place, and the people that you're looking for will eventually find you. Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with me. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel and tap the notification bell so you get notified when I post my videos. I'd love to have you stick around and enjoy your virtual company. Also, if you're not already following me on Instagram, stop by and say hello. I'm frequently posting of my travels and my whereabouts. With that being said, I'll see you guys super soon in the next one. Bye guys.